credit industry spent $4.7 billion last year making you feel successful while keeping you broke. Not by accident, by design. Your brain cannot tell the difference between building wealth and performing wealth, and that single neurological blind spot, the one nobody taught you to see, is worth $800,000 over the next 20 years. You are 40. You have spent 2 decades doing everything the performance required. The apartment that looked right, the car that signaled you had arrived somewhere, the clothes, the dinners, the upgrades, the constant, expensive, exhausting theater of appearing to be the kind of person who does not need to worry about money. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, you forgot to actually build any. Here's what the system that sold you the performance does not want you to know. 40 is not too late. 40, for someone willing to stop performing and start building, is the most dangerous starting point in the wealth timeline, because the income is higher, the illusions are cheaper, and the urgency is finally real, in a way it never was at 25. This is not a video about hope. This is the math of what quiet wealth actually produces when you stop funding the performance and start funding the account. Here is the neuroscience the financial industry will never put in a brochure. Your brain runs on a reward system called dopamine, and dopamine does not care whether you are actually wealthy or whether you simply look wealthy. The new car releases dopamine. The renovation releases dopamine. The watch, the vacation, the restaurant that costs more than it should, all of it releases the same neurochemical signal as genuine financial security. The system knows this. The entire consumer credit architecture, the 0% financing, the buy now, pay later, the credit card with the rewards points and the annual fee that quietly extracts more than the rewards return, was engineered around one insight. If we can make the performance feel like the real thing, people will fund the performance indefinitely and never notice they are not building anything. You are not weak for falling for it. You are human. Your brain was handed a system specifically designed to exploit the part of it that cannot distinguish between the signal of wealth and the substance of it. The distinction costs the average American $312,000 over a 30-year working life. Not in dramatic losses, not in single catastrophic decisions, in the slow, invisible monthly transfer of your wealth-building capacity into someone else's compounding returns. The credit card company is investing your money. The auto lender is investing your money. The buy now, pay later platform is investing your money. They are building quiet wealth on your performance. Quiet wealth is not a lifestyle. It is not a minimalist aesthetic. It is not a trend. It is not the version of frugality that personal finance content glamorizes until it becomes its own kind of performance. Quiet wealth is a mathematical condition. It is the state in which your assets generate more income than your lifestyle requires. That is the entire definition. And here is the part the system spent decades hiding from you. Quiet wealth does not look like anything. The person building quiet wealth at 40 drives a car that is paid off, lives in a space that is functional, not aspirational, wears clothes that fit, not clothes that signal, passes on the renovation, skips the upgrade cycle, watches colleagues announce purchases on social media, and feels something that is not envy. It is recognition. Recognition that every dollar announced publicly is a dollar not compounding privately. The performance of success and the construction of wealth are not the same activity. In fact, and this is the insight that the credit industry spent $4.7 billion last year suppressing, they are directly competing activities. Every dollar that funds the performance is a dollar that does not fund the account. Every month the account does not receive the dollar is a month of compounding that cannot be recovered. The person performing success at 40 and the person building quiet wealth at 40 will be indistinguishable at 45. At 55, the gap will be visible. At 60, it will be irreversible. Stop. Before the math, you need to know the number you are actually chasing, because the number most people are chasing is wrong, and the wrong number is one of the primary reasons people do not start. You've heard $1 million. You've heard $2 million. You've heard some version of a large, round, psychologically paralyzing number that your brain filed under, not for people like me. Here is the actual number. 25 times your annual expenses, not your income, your expenses. This is the 25X rule. It is derived from the Trinity study, 30 years of retirement research showing that a diversified portfolio can sustain a 4% annual withdrawal indefinitely without depleting the principal. If you spend $40,000 a year, your retirement number is $1 million. If you spend $48,000 a year, your number is $1,200,000. If you reduce your annual expenses to $36,000, not through deprivation, through the deliberate defunding of the performance, your number drops to $900,000. The target is not fixed, it moves with your choices. And at 40, with 20 earning years ahead of you and an income that is likely the highest it has ever been, you can attack that number from both directions simultaneously. Increase the contributions, decrease the expenses. The gap closes twice as fast.
You are 40. You earn $75,000 a year. You are going to save 30% of your gross income, $22,500 per year, $1,875 per month. That number is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be. Comfort is what funded the performance for 20 years. Discomfort is what funds the account for the next 20. You max your Roth IRA first, $7,000 per year, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals in retirement. The government built this account specifically to let your money compound without ever generating a tax bill on the way out. The remaining $15,500 goes into your 401k up to the employer match, then into a low-cost total market index fund in a taxable brokerage account. Expense ratio 0.03%. Not because you are sophisticated, because the fund that tries to beat the market almost never does over 20 years and charges you more for the failure. You automate every transfer on the first of the month before you see the money, before the month has a chance to become a reason. Age 40. Starting balance, $0. Year 1 contribution, $22,500. End of year 1 at 7% average return, $24,075. The number is not impressive. The number is not supposed to be impressive yet. The number is supposed to be running. Age 43, 3 years in. Balance approximately $79,000. You have contributed $67,500 of your own money. The market has added $11,500 on top of it. The compounding is quiet. It is working. Age 45, 5 years in. Balance approximately $152,000. The market dropped 19% in year 4. Your balance fell by $24,000 in 1 quarter. You did not sell. You did not redirect the transfer. You did nothing, which is the only correct response to short-term volatility when your horizon is 15 years minimum. The market recovered. The balance came back higher. You kept the transfer running. That decision, the decision to do nothing, is worth approximately $67,000 in final portfolio value compared to the average investor who moved to cash during that correction and missed the recovery. Age 48, 8 years in. Balance approximately $279,000. The account is generating approximately $19,500 per year in returns. You are contributing $22,500. The gap between what you put in and what the account produces on its own is closing. The compounding is becoming visible, not theoretical, visible, a real number, growing without your involvement. Age 50, 10 years in. Balance approximately $390,000. The IRS hands you the bigger shovel. Catch-up contributions activate. Your Roth IRA limit increases from $7,000 to $8,000. Your 401k limit increases from $23,000 to $30,500. That's $8,500 more per year in tax-advantaged investment capacity, a tool that 25-year-old does not have and will not have for 25 years. Your income has grown to $87,000. You redirect the raise, not into the lifestyle, into the account. Annual contribution increases to $27,000. Age 53, 13 years in. Balance approximately $620,000. Your annual expenses have come down to $42,000. Not through misery, through the deliberate, monthly, non-dramatic defunding of the performance. The car you drove at 48, you still drive at 53. The apartment costs less than the house you could have bought and did not. The kitchen was not remodeled. The truck was not upgraded. Your retirement number at $42,000 annual expenses is $1,050,000. The gap between where you are and the target is $430,000. Age 55, 15 years in. Balance approximately $805,000. The account generates approximately $56,000 per year in returns. You are contributing $27,000. The compounding has passed the crossover point. Your money is now making more than you are adding. You are no longer the engine of growth. You are a passenger. That is not a small thing. That is the entire thing. Age 57, 17 years in. Balance approximately $960,000. You are close. You do not accelerate. You do not make dramatic moves in the portfolio searching for a faster return. You do the same thing you have done every month for 17 years. Transfer, leave it, wait. Age 58, 18 years in. Balance approximately $1,080,000. The 25x rule is satisfied. Your annual expenses are $42,000. 4% of $1,080,000 is $42,200. The math works. You are 58. You stop working. Not because you got lucky, not because you earned more than other people, not because you had access to information that was difficult to find, because you stopped funding the performance and started funding the account. 18 years, one decision, made once, automated before your brain could argue with it, never negotiated.
Here is what the math cannot show you. The 18 years between 40 and 58 are not a highlight reel. They are 18 years of ordinary life in which you make the same decision in the presence of every social signal telling you to make a different one. Your colleague remodels his kitchen at 46. You do not. Your friend buys the lake house at 51. You look at it, you walk away. Your neighbor upgrades his truck every 3 years. You drive the same vehicle for 9. Nobody around you sees what is happening. There is no visible signal that anything is being built. You look from the outside like a person who is getting by, not a person who is 24 months from retiring at 58 with a 7-figure portfolio. This is the true cost of quiet wealth, not the sacrifices, the invisibility. The financial content industry prepares you for the math. Nobody prepares you for the moment your brain, flooded with the same dopamine architecture the credit industry engineered, tells you that you deserve the upgrade, that you have earned the renovation, that staying invisible one more year is too high a price for a goal that is still years away. That moment will come. It will come dressed as logic. It will come with a reasonable justification. It will come at a point in the month when the account balance looks large enough to absorb it. It is not logic. It is the performance calling you back. The person who retires at 58 is not the person who never felt the pull of the performance. They are the person who felt it every single month for 18 years and transferred the money anyway. Every person who has built quiet wealth from a late start shares one characteristic. Not intelligence, not income, not access to information others did not have. This. They treated the savings rate as a fixed expense from the first day and never renegotiated it. Not when the car needed repairs, not when the bonus did not come through, not when the market dropped and every instinct said pause until it feels more certain. It will never feel more certain. The market has never waited for certainty. It never will. The savings rate is not a goal. It is not a target you hit when the month goes well. It is a bill. It is the fixed obligation that leaves the account on the first with the same non-negotiable reliability as your rent. Make the decision once. Automate it before your brain can argue with it. Protect it the way you protect every other non-negotiable in your life. Because here is what the performance never told you. Every month you redirect the transfer is not neutral. It falls behind. The pause does not sit still. It compounds in reverse. It is lost compounding that no future contribution can fully recover. The credit industry knows this. That is why the performance is always presenting you with something just reasonable enough to justify. The response to every one of those moments is the same. Transfer the money, close the app, go back to your life. The account will grow. It always has. The people who did not stop always came out ahead of the people who did. This is not optimism. This is the historical record of every market cycle for the last 100 years.
You are 40. You have spent 20 years funding a performance that was designed to feel like wealth and produce none. The system that sold it to you is not going to announce what it costs. The credit card company is not going to send you a statement that says, here is how much of your retirement we redirected into our compounding returns through minimum payments and interest charges and the monthly performance of a life that looked successful from the outside. Nobody is going to hand you back the time. But here is what is still true. You have 20 years. You have a higher income than you have ever had. You have the behavioral knowledge that only comes from living through market cycles and economic shocks, and the specific education of watching what panic costs in dollar amounts you can calculate. You have catch-up contributions waiting at 50 that will hand you a larger shovel exactly when the account is large enough for it to matter most. And you have the one thing that the 25-year-old who started before you does not have: urgency. Real urgency, not theoretical, not the vague discomfort of knowing you should start someday. The kind of urgency that makes the savings rate non-negotiable on day one. The kind of urgency that keeps the transfer running when the performance calls you back. The kind of urgency that looks like discipline from the outside and feels like clarity from the inside. Open the account. Set the transfer. Automate it before your brain produces a reason not to. Then do the only thing that has ever made the math work for anyone at any age. Do not stop. The 20 years will pass regardless. The performance will not retire you. The account will. Build the quiet wealth. Start tonight.